Hey folks, we're back here for another review of a pay-per-view, and it just has to be Backlash. Like, out of most of them, that's literally my favorite WWE pay-per-view until the last one was literally 2009. I mean, at least it ended with a good pay-per-view. My last favorite one, I mean. I know that they brought back Backlash like 2017 or 16. So, yeah, it was 17. So the equivalent, no, 16. So the equivalency of it being, having, the gimmick being payback. Literally, it's just a rematch for a big pay-per-view. So the selling point was probably just the greatest wrestling match ever. Thanks. Edge and Orton had a fucking last man standing match for that went 30 minutes. This one also dragged for over 30 minutes. And they dragged out doing several unnecessary finishers from previous wrestlers. They had the old school down angle lens, and they tried so much to make sure this felt iconic. Just guess for a guy with 9 years of ring rust to get out of his system to actually gel and have an alright match. What selling point was this about to give? Then the biggest pop I would ever give it was the return of the punt kick and a finish. Anything else? Nothing else happened in this pay-per-view. There has been no title win, title change. There's been no access into an end of a storyline, or at least except one, at least continuation of probably my favorite match of the show. That wasn't the goddamn main event. It was like a 3 out of 5. Somebody rated it because they thought it was so passable, but dragged off unnecessary reversal spots, and it would only heat up until the second half of the match. We literally, Apollo Crews retained the United States title. If anybody wanted to remember, it was just buffering a lot when I was watching the kickoff because that would be the only match. Luckily, I hope they continue doing only one match per kickoff. But it shouldn't be one of the second most prestigious singles belts, mid card belts in the goddamn promotion. I don't like that. I mean, isn't that the first time a mid card title been defended in kickoff? There's been many years where it's had been defended, but I just feel like it's always stupid. Especially if you were going to make a skittish thing like that, what they did with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders, two legit teams that were supposed to be treated as badass, young, athletic, completely high-octane wrestlers, get treated as comedic relief for a skittish bullshit brawl that went into Akira Tozawa speaking in Japanese, jabbering on the run-on joke on what you can do. We can do better than niggas. There was ninjas. There was ninjas. What kind of retarded stuff was WWE thinking to at least make every pay-per-view should be cinematic and feel unique? It's not the first time we even put skits. I'd rather watch Southpaw Regional Wrestling 24 hours a day than this shit. I'm not saying Southpaw Regional Wrestling was bad, but at least it had the actual creative ability, and it was literally in depth in these guys legit being in an 80s wrestling promotion setting. So you know these roles that they can play, but they don't do that shit. What was the point of doing this? I thought the little climax was supposed to be a title match, but they just brought it along to just do an outside brawl after Braun's title defense. By the way, Braun retained. They don't like doing primordial title changes, even though Braun has been the most pointless champion ever. Ever. That wasn't even the opening part of the match. Sheamus and Hardy had a watchable match. It was an alright match. Fast pace, decent sitting. Sheamus was just with 2 Irish curses, a lot of forearms, trying to attempt to what Hardy was trying to risk disqualification, and I thought they would try to play on that, like Sheamus been disrespecting him so much with his personal past and insulting him and his his the trust of his family, that I thought it would be like Hardy trying more risque stuff to try to hurt Sheamus. Sheamus did shockingly end up with the win, so the most redundant 50-50 booking was put on the night. So was the main event, thanks Edge took the win in the last man standing match at Mania. There was a lot of near falls that were actually putting you up in your seats. The match was fun. Off a swanton bomb that nearly got the match over. Sheamus with a bro kick from the outside after catching Hardy from midair, and then another bro kick in the middle of the ring. Sheamus takes out the first win of the night, and it was a pretty watchable match. I have to give it that, with at least some passable storyline, other than the piss thing from last week, the final SmackDown before Backlash. So next up was, of course, the women's tag team match for the women's tag team titles. It was a triple threat tag team match for the women's tag titles involving, that was incredibly redundant, involving Bayley and Sasha Banks against the Iconics that have, I think they're the only team next to Asuka and Kairi with a tag team name. How, amazing the tag division is for the women is depressing. And Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, that even though they've been a tag team and they're two-time women's tag team champions, I'm shocked they never thought of a name yet. Like, you could have just made up the name Moment of Bliss or a Sensation of Bliss or something out of that line. I don't know. You guys aren't creative. You made Breezango even though you could have made it for Breeze or something. Other than copyright reasons. The match was so boring, it makes it hard to watch. With a failure of Lou Thesz presses off Alexa Bliss, drop kick, Sasha doing a lot of Meteora's kicks, Bayley always thinking that she can get heat for some apparent reason, all because she got a gimmick that was only over on NXT. Yes, that means like when 600 people can fill up a college arena. Like NXT ain't shit. I'm being real serious right now. But off a roll-up roll-up pin, Sasha picks up a victory over Alexa and Nikki and the Iconics with barely any notable spots by Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. To be honest, I think they were just there. They were just fodder for no reason. They were just there. For, I guess, because they were screwed over another title shot ago, even though they lost on Raw like 3 weeks ago. It even came to a dumber question, like, will you guys stop being best friends after losing the tag team titles? That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Who says that? What kind of questions are these? Every time they've been getting like a primordial amount of female interviewers, I guess the only person who does well in the interviewing sense is at least Charlie Caruso, because at least she stays on the topic at hand and she has logical conclusions with her answers. With her questions. And then she comes around to this other chick that comes around saying, if you lose a tag title match, are you guys not best friends? Even though she's been friends with her since Bayley won the women's title, so obviously that's not the narrative. It'll be retarded. Plus, we know that they're probably going to do a title match at SummerSlam at this point. No one cares about Extreme Rules and their goddamn Nerf guns logo. Next up was Asuka versus Nia Jax. Thankfully, I didn't want the title to go to Nia Jax, so I guess that's a positive. The match was borderline boring with ending at a double countout. Some way to, I guess, like, protect Asuka and Nia, even though Nia lost twice to this chick already for a developmental championship. And obviously, Nia's been technicality and non-kayfabe, strong, pushed strong, because she legit injured a small Asian girl like twice on television. And she comes around saying, where's Kyrie for that extra salt in the wound, with backhands all over the place, running rear end to the face over the ring ropes. Constant amounts of suplexes were countered, clothesline by Nia Jax. There's like no part of this match except me wanting to beat the shit out of Asuka beating the shit out of Nia Jax for her absolute cancer in the locker room. This was just and it just ended up with a double count out. Then Asuka got a running, like I think it did a running knee off the apron or something. It just felt so sloppily and awkward. The only thing fast-paced about the match was just Asuka's strikes. That was about it. Match was forgettable. So was the handicap match. That was just based on pranks. It was like a lower mid-card feud put into a goddamn world title reign, and it's like a middle of the show. And it was Braun Strowman you opened up of his car. So you brought up the car backstage, so that car was going to get destroyed. And it was destroyed. What was the point? After it was literally repaired like 2 weeks ago. This was dumb. For the car to just be a run-on joke, and they would use it for the Viking Raiders in that Street Profits fight. It wasn't a match, so I'm going to call it a fight. So, yeah. There was like no point. And the awkwardness of just going for co-champion, so you would just try to run off the same thing that you did with Bayley and Sasha Banks to do with Morrison and Miz, because the stipulation, whoever gets the pin on Strowman becomes champion. Obviously, this was going to play a factor into the match. Ironically, Morrison didn't mind if Miz would become champion. But then later on in the match, that I thought it was a springboard stomp into a skull crushing finale for that added impact was pretty okay. We got shoulder tackle, a double DDT. Strowman matches are always so fucking formulaic because he literally has like the Matt Morgan array of moves, except with the amount of like intensity Morgan actually has. Back then when he was actually over, Strowman has been over since like 2016 to 17. So watching him just come around looking like it's just a special guest from any Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider sitcom, just screaming around over a feud based on pranks, it really just devalues already a devaluable title. Like, nobody's going to remember the Universal Championship. No one. This match was forgettable. It ended off Miz costing them the match after ruining the pinfall after Morrison came with the ring because he was the legal man after the finisher. And then a power out, a power slam, a power who gives a crap. I'm sorry if you think I'm acting too callous on this, but I don't care. This was a forgettable match. The most exciting match, at least, was literally over the past several reviews what I've been anticipating over the last couple weeks, because I wanted to see this match. Drew McIntyre against Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. MVP came before the match, already bringing up, celebration, getting the drinks, getting all this stuff, and then Lana comes around speaking to MVP after what you're doing manipulating Bobby, even though the man's literally having a title opportunity on pay-per-view. So I don't know why Lana hasn't consulted her own husband about this, and MVP even brings this up. And we get straight into the match. And as soon as McIntyre can even make his entrance, Lashley comes from behind hitting the vice grip. Immediately, a smart way to, get an advantage and get, some easy steps. These guys had some good spots, to be honest. Like belly to belly suplex off an attempted spear near the barricade. A Northern Lights suit. I think it was like a belly to belly into a bridge. I forgot what it was, but that was a good spot. I think that these guys played on it well with the speed and strength and made these guys like toss each other apart and plus show that athleticism. A tombstone pile driver got countered into an ankle lock. These guys literally did everything that made this match fun until Lana came around, distracting Bobby Lashley coming out of nowhere behind MVP, accidentally getting hit, getting landed into MVP, and then a Claymore kick for the win after pretty much a fun match. This was a good match. I'll give it a match of the night. Really good back and forth. Great smart opener by Lashley to get the early advantage. Played more factor into the full Nelson being applied because, that's now been his finisher for the last several weeks. So, got to find some way to make Lashley look strong in that aspect. Either way, this was an entertaining match, an alright story, and at least going to bring up to probably next week. And for the Extreme Rules, for probably to give Lashley the title for once. I wouldn't mind that, and plus McIntyre has any other time to win it back. Probably if they give the title again to Rollins, that I see happening in the near future because of his faction. I mean, and it's a main event faction. So, in that aspect. But really good match. I gotta give it, some points. And give Backlash 1 point. Next up was the Street Profits against the Viking Raiders for a brawl outside of the Performance Center. They just started punching each other, and then as soon as one of them hit each other on the car, they were like, "Yo, that was Strowman's car, bro." And then they just went inside to fight, and then continued punching awkwardly out of nowhere, like this was a dumbass skit. Yet these are pro wrestlers that's supposed to beat each other up to, make a name for themselves, and they don't think that this should be applied in the. First of all, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins are not over. They try to overpush this team as like Ring of Honor type charisma with just exaggerated singing and any type of fragile neck movements Montez Ford uses. I just feel like he has too much ability to just be wasting it thinking that he has charisma. And I understand they try to do those backstage segments when they were hyping up the card for Raw over the last several months to try to hype them up and gel them for promos, but they suck at promos. And this was built up so many times for like so many ties for their dumbass challenges that you think it would end up with at least a main event. I mean, a title match. It didn't even finish. The ref was just there just for the run-on joke of Ibar being cute and Eric ain't shit, and then Ford sings it. And then our characters all comes with damn ninjas and motorcycles, and you think, oh, this is crazy, right? This is cinematic, and the cinematic stuff that makes WWE pay-per-views bearable. It's shit. Nobody even remembers stuff from Money in the Bank. Are you serious? These pay-per-views have sucked. They fight like man. They make the run-on joke with the turkey leg. Ibar dreaming of the turkey leg. They fight ninjas like absolute Power Ranger autistic retards, and I hate being as rude as this is possible. This just made this show suck. It just Ford hits him with with his cup full of water, and I had to censor it using water. Ivar uses a turkey leg. Eric and Dawkins just come around beating the shit out of the guys for no reason. Tozawa just brings some big black guy. That's a ninja. He didn't say the N-word. I'm so sorry. That was terrible. And I don't even know why Tozawa, this jobber just coming out of nowhere. I don't even know why he's on Raw other than just to have the glorified like finishers put on him. That was it. I hated this pay-per-view. I absolutely hated this pay-per-view. I really did. What a crappy way to. Oh my god. I'm about to get an aneurysm. Next up is a main event, and of course it would be the greatest wrestling match ever. They even hyped up over the pay-per-view, bringing up every WrestleMania main event, every match of the night WrestleMania moment. And of course one of the better matches, like Cena versus Rock, Michaels versus The Undertaker, Michaels versus Hogan, The Rock versus Hogan, Ricky versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat against Macho Man Randy Savage. All this shit. I I don't know why I try. I don't know why I try. The match was fine. Like if they had this at any other pay per view, this would be better than the last. This is better than the last man standing match. I heard that seems like Edge suffered a knee injury or shoulder injury in the middle of a spot of the match, and I thought I witnessed it as soon as Edge was trying to go for some running lariat move, awkwardly landed on the shoulder, and I thought, oh, that sounded legit like he got an injury there. And that was oddly when Randy busted open. Ruff was wearing gloves, then immediately, second half of the match, just worn off. And I thought that'd be cool, like a Crimson match. Like, they could have done so much more. Like, this could just be a match of just Randy getting his win back at Mania after getting embarrassed by a shell of his former self. He's not the Rated R superstar. he was just a superstar and shit like that. That could have been like a basic storyline that you could have just done for the main event, like redemption for the Viper or some shit like that. No one gives a shit that you have to call it the greatest match ever, all because these are names that old fans still remember. It's dumb. Plus, these guys have always wrestled back in the day. I don't know why you try to tease this over as the greatest wrestling match of all time, or because Randy knows work rate and Edge can do executions well. He did his goddamn sharpshooter, a heel hook. There were so many headlocks in this match. I knew that as soon as they hit the middle of the match, I was about to see the seventh headlock, and I punched my brother in the face. It was that bad. Like, how can you go 30 minutes in a match without a ref bump or something? Or at least a table breaking? Nothing. Nothing excited me except pure, crisp wrestling. And obviously, you're going to remember this match, because there was a rock bottom, an RKO from the top, canceled, elevated DDT, and obviously they were probably trying, the commentators, like, they tried better in the Lashley and McIntyre match because they were actually going more in trail into the cancellation of the Claymore. Into the Claymore kick, or I think the opening match of the show when it was Sheamus versus Hardy. They were barely in depth in the middle of this match until like the highlights. They didn't give a shit about this match other than trying to do the selling point of Edge and Orton with their goddamn work rate in their relationship. I don't care. There was an Edge-o-matic for a near fall after a counter from an RKO. A pedigree off Orton. A rock bottom off Edge off no relation. They couldn't even try an AA for some reason, even though seen as the most accomplished wrestler of this generation. I don't understand. Probably because I don't know. I think Orton can get Edge over his shoulders. A kick out of a spear. A kick out of a RKO. The match was getting fine until out of nowhere, as soon as a kick out, Orton came out of nowhere with a punt kick. That was literally a shocking point of the night of a forgettable but average match, and probably to get back in the in-ring spunk of Edge. I thought this was a pretty alright match. I thought it dragged and they tried too much to try to oversell that Orton really can't have that much of a compelling wrestling match. I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler. Beyond that, he's a great wrestler. Just he can't compel anybody to watch his matches at times. Unless he does that goddamn RKO that makes him relevant. That's all it is. Not the Legend Killer, not Evolution, not Legacy. It's goddamn that RKO that makes him relevant. And I thought he was going to have a faction the time when he was with the Revival back on SmackDown when he was feuding with Kofi Kingston. No, he just wears his dumbass hoodie, and it comes to Somerville making this the greatest wrestling match ever. They had the MSG microphone thing so they can announce his names. The authenticity in a pay-per-view called Backlash. So why didn't they have this at WrestleMania then if we were going to make it at that point? Wouldn't it be better to have this greatest wrestling match ever at WrestleMania and then do something as crazy as a last man standing match at Backlash? That was the dumbest thing of all time, and I guess they did the Money in the Bank thing because Becky got pregnant. They got to do some way to get the title off her before she accidentally takes a bump where the baby's trying to take a bump. So it's just dumb. This match was okay. That's all I'm gonna give it. That's obviously buyer's remorse in the fact that you even bought this. The greatest bullet ever dodged was this pandemic, that you didn't have to go to these pay-per-views because they wouldn't be doing this shit. They wouldn't do this shit at all. They wouldn't be doing these dumbass skits. The corporate ladder match wouldn't have been a thing. This greatest wrestling match ever wouldn't be a thing. And the saddest thing of all, they already fired Paul Heyman, so you won't get released until Bruce Pritchard actually takes the helm and he actually gets full control in probably several weeks. Because there's still some episodes of Raw that was pre-recorded, obviously off the control of Paul Heyman at the time. He'll get at least somewhat watchable parts of Raw. until you get Bruce Pritchard that's constantly putting SmackDown in the ones. This just sucked. This pay-per-view sucks. This gets a 4 out of 10. The only points I would give it is probably the fucking main event. The McIntyre and Lashley match wasn't. It was pretty good, and the Sheamus and Hardy match at least had 50-50 booking. They took the 50-50 shit with Orton and Edge for no apparent reason. Even though they could have just ended it with a happy ending of Edge finally getting that confidence back. Even though he already beat Randy at Mania, so shouldn't that be a fitting conclusion? And they were teasing, and they were supposed to have, I think, a SmackDown Tag Team title match. But I guess that future episode of SmackDown, because they get a future title shot, not at Backlash. Nakamura and Cesaro probably next week on Friday Night SmackDown get the New Day. They're their biggest PG wrestlers in them, and they're the most marketable at this point of the PG era. At this point, so why aren't they not on pay-per-view? But the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders get a nothing match. It's just dumb. This pay-per-view sucked. I apologize if you had to hear me cuss. I don't like doing this, bro. I swear to God, I wish this was Tylenol holding at this point. It's just are you sure this is the amount of creative ability that WWE have in their helm? Like the amount of money they have, it's not on heightened production value or better wrestlers that they can actually get some homegrown talent involved, or spreading their content further, or going back to regular pay-per-views in this dumbass streaming service that people are not using because your content currently sucks. It's to just waste time on your dumbass skits. It's just weak. This is just weak. And just having your robotic attendants feel like this is just they're doing voice acting for 2K21. I mean 22. 21K come out. So that's the Backlash review, ladies and gentlemen. Please comment down below how you felt about Backlash this year. Please comment down below. I'd like to hear you guys' opinion. Thank you for watching. Join me and please help my channel grow up to 30 subscribers and more. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the video.